Good afternoon and welcome to a sweltering Djuma private game reserve. It is 36 degrees Celsius, which is well into the 90s Fahrenheit. I can't remember the exact temperature. My name is Brent Smith, and I'm going to be your guide in this African wilderness. I have Brian Joubert on camera, and sometimes we're known as the Killer Bees.
Killer Bees.
Hopefully we can find some leopard this afternoon. They have been giving us a serious run around over the last while. On the other vehicle, we have Scott and Wiem, and in final control, we have Kirsty and... Who's back now? Nikki! Kirsty and Nikki. Sorry, there's been a lot of influx and outflux at final control over the last while. So we're going to start making our way towards the Buffelshoek waterhole. I'm hoping in this hot weather there might be some elephants cavorting in the mud. So let's go see what we can find. In this blinding heat, the chances of seeing too much in the beginning are quite slim. So we've got some good news. We are going to be changing the drive times from Wednesday. So from Wednesday Sunrise Safari, we will be starting half an hour earlier in the morning and ending half an hour earlier to avoid some of that late morning heat. And in the afternoons we will be starting half an hour later. So on Central African time we'll be starting at 05:30 in the morning and ending at 08:30, and in the afternoon we will be starting at 0400 and ending at 0700. We fortunately do have access to a swimming pool, which I think is going to get some heavy use over this summer season. I know I've already swum 3 times today to just try and keep my core temperature down. It's dropped down a little bit from the Sunrise Safari, but it is still blowing, and I am staring deeply into the shadows that surround us in the hope to find something that hasn't melted during the day. Summer heat is one of the reasons I prefer my straw hat to a leather hat. It's just a little bit cooler. As was with the morning, there is not a cloud in the sky. Complete blue skies above, and all the animals hiding from the heat. to this heat, it seems like there's been many elephant herds on the Juma Cam, and that update comes from Kathleen. Thanks very much, Kathleen. And I think Scotty is going to go check in that area. I'm going to head off to the Buffels Hook Dam and see if there are any ellies frolicking in that waterhole. There's not even an insect making a noise. Spotted an African harrier hawk. We're just going to see where it lands. Let's get a safety shot from a little bit of a distance. And he was hiding in the shade of that large greenthorn or balanites or torchwood. All names are correct. There we go, African harrier hawk. And even the birds in this heat seem to be few and far between. Let's try sneak a little bit closer. And didn't move far. It's really, really hot. So let's go around the next little corner and hopefully we manage to get a view. He's not being very photogenic, but he's so hot he doesn't want to fly too far, and he keeps flying to the next big tree along the road. See his mouth open like that, and if we could see his throat, it would be moving really, really quickly. And what that is called is a gula flutter, and that is one of the ways birds try to regulate their temperature in very hot weather. So basically, there's a lot of blood vessels and capillaries in there on their tongues, and they will try to bring as much air over it as quickly as possible to cool themselves down. Very much like a dog panting. Okay, well, let's leave him be, and we're going to continue on. We did attempt this morning to get to 50 birds, but the windy weather made it a little bit difficult. And I think the heat's going to make it a little bit difficult, the sunset safari, but we can continue trying to keep on with the bird list. And there's our bird list. First bird for the bird list, the sunset safari, the African harrier hawk. Down here is pulled out. I just need to put it back in. There we go. Scott. So just gonna have a quick chat to Scotty, see where he is and what he's up to. Scott, you copy? Okay, copy. I'm heading towards Buffalo's Hook at the moment from Vulture's Nest. I'm going to take Hyena Road to the Buffalo's Hook cut line. Both heading up to the north, then Scott and I are going to split. He's going to go west and I'm going to go east, and so we're going to be working in, so Scott's going to be sort of in the west and the south, and I'm going to be in the north and the east. Might meander a bit towards the south as it gets a bit cooler. Little pans have already dried up. There was water in them very, very briefly, and this hot African sun has drunk it all up, and the thirsty African earth has drunk the rest. I do believe we're in for a very dry, wet season. Even though we did have that early rain, I don't think it's going to be a very wet season at all. Much greener than it normally would be at this time of the year. And Donna was wondering, when is the rainy season supposed to start? Well, Donna, normally early in November. So we've had a little bit of early rain, which is not in itself unusual, but I don't think we're going to see much rain. Normally November through to beginning of April, but it doesn't rain constantly. Quite often a couple of big thunderstorms or a couple of days of overcast and drizzly weather. And we had that very early this year. We had a good rain, but as I think very early, but I don't think we're going to get too much more rain this season like we did last season. Which is natural. We go through wet and dry cycles out here in the bush, and we've gone for a very wet sort of 7 or 8 years. So we are due for a dry cycle. much life is out here in the bush, and at the moment it looks like it's devoid. I don't think we've literally seen anything with a heartbeat other than that African Harrier hawk so far. So while we continue towards Buffalo's Hook to see what it holds, we're going to... Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome on board with myself, Scott, and I'm teamed up with VM on camera. As I'm sure Brent would have mentioned, it's an exceedingly hot and humid afternoon, and we are both essentially seeking refuge from the sun, which there's not much of on the roads, but hopefully we'll be able to find you some animals without too much searching. Them, just like us, will also be seeking refuge in the shade and cool areas, so that's where we're going to try and check. And looking forward to another safari with you. I've been away for a few days on leave with Nikki, and we had a great break after being stuck in the same place for 6 weeks. It was a much needed and pleasant change of scenery. Went into the Kruger National Park and spent one night there, where we were lucky enough to see some honey badgers in the tented camp where we stayed at night. Trying to forage for leftovers, I guess. Speaking of which, I actually managed to see a honey badger on foot this morning here with Jandre while we were practicing with the walking backpack. Either way, it was a good break, 3 nights away, but good to be back at work and good to be on safari with all of you again. Not too sure what my plans are, to be honest, and it sounds like it's been a little bit quiet in terms of the predators over the last few days, so we don't have too many leads to go on for them. And even if we did, on a day like this, I wouldn't be expecting any action from the cats until after dark, so we're going to have to focus on possibly the smaller animals, the birds and the butterflies, which there seem to be a lot of this afternoon. And if we're lucky, maybe some elephants or some of the other general game coming down to waterholes to drink. I know Brent's heading towards Buffalo's Hook Dam, so hopefully he'll get lucky there. And we did come past the Juma waterhole, which we're actually heading back towards now. We're doing a big loop back to the waterhole in the hope that we'll find some other animals there. But there were some impala drinking and relaxing in the shade. So I think that is going to be the theme for the beginning of the drive, at least. Animals trying to evade this incredibly warm afternoon, and I'm sure Brent did touch on it, but I'm going to touch on it again anyway, because we're all desperate to make sure you guys know the plans and that the plans are changing. We're going to be going out half an hour later in the afternoon and half an hour earlier in the morning as of Wednesday. So tomorrow will be as normal, which is a pity, but it's the way it is. But from Wednesday, 2 days from now, we are going to be starting half an hour earlier in the morning and half an hour later in the afternoon to try and avoid this heat. And Kirsty just whispered in my ear that that will bring us to the 7th of October. Thank you, Kirst. So 7th of October, times change. The
If you're unhappy about those times, we do apologize, but it is incredibly, unbearably hot and doesn't make sense for us to be out at the current times. We should definitely be keeping in tune with Mother Nature and all the changes around us, otherwise we're going to be left behind.
Everyone, sorry about the gremlins. We have arrived at Bubbles of Waterhole, and from the tracks I can see we must have just missed some elephants. It looks like they were here probably 20 minutes ago. We're going to go have a look. I saw from the other side of the waterhole they have spread mud all around here. So this is where they were. And you can see the freshly moved water and mud over here. So just a little bit too late. But we do have some fork-tailed drongos having a drink. Oh, and he's finished drinking. Come to sit in the tree. There's the next one coming in, Brian.
Bad angle here.
Oh, and look at the brown band whites. I'm going to move so we can actually... Oh, is that too close to the vehicle, that fly? Emerald green thing there.
I got that thing.
Oh, that's a brown band white. We'll come back to that one. Can we get a bit closer to us, or is that too close? Where's my... Oh, there he flew. You got him?
Yeah.
Here we go. That is called a blowfly. So, if any of you remember that buffalo carcass that was befilled with a waterfall of maggots, there were probably a fair number of those maggots that belonged to that bright emerald fly. Very, very pretty colours on him. Quite a hard carapace for a fly, hard shell, exoskeleton, and then back to that little butterfly. Here we go. That is a brown veined white, and it's probably the most common butterfly we get here, and also one of the only butterflies we get throughout the year. And you can see it's a very white butterfly with those brown veins in the wing, and that's where they get their name from. They've come down to the edge of the water, so they'll be able to draw moisture just from where the elephants have splashed on the edge there. And there's actually quite a lot of them around at the moment on the edge of the water up ahead. And as we drive forward, they're probably all going to take off just in front of me over here. Oh, and there we go. Butterflies over our heads. I did say we'd try have a look at some butterflies on the sunset safari. There we go. There's the first one, the brown veined white. one I can't just see just yet. See him there? And have a quick look now. So, very, very yellow. What I'm trying to do is see when it opens its wings to flap what the inside looks like, which can be quite difficult sometimes. To see if it's got any sulfur tips to the wings or black tips to the wings, to try to figure out which yellow it is. It could be one of a couple of species. Amazing colors. I can't see any black dots. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have a look at it through my binoculars. Hopefully it gives me a chance to get my binos out of my bag before disappearing completely. Oh no, don't disappear. Oh, whoa. Now he's too close. Oh, no, he's back next to us. Did you see any spots or sulfur spots? Come on, land, little guy. Back this way. And landing next to us again. But, oh, did it? No. Nearly. Just, there's a couple of them around. There. Oh. Okay, I just managed to see a little bit of black at the top edge of the wing. Yeah. I'm just having a look in the butterfly book. So you see how difficult it can be. It's definitely not this guy. He's far too yellow. I mean, far too much black on it. And it's not that one. And it's not that one. Ah, there he is. So there's quite a lot of different color variations. These are males. They're very yellow ones like we were looking at. And then if we go down a little bit, there, was my shadow in the way there? Let's lift the book up. They're the female variations. And so they've just come out. I'm just going to get to the correct spot in the book. And 204 Dixia spilleri. This book, I was very confused. Not page 204, it's butterfly number 204. There we go. Oh, perfect timing. Looks like maybe some elephants have come to join us. Can just see an elephant's tail wagging through the bush there. And I'm hoping they might come down. He might have already been here. So he's just through there. You see him there, bro?
No, I can't.
There you go, you see there. You can hear him breaking down the branches. So let's go see if we can have a closer look at that elephant. But that little yellow butterfly, the common name, which is quite a nice name, it's got quite a nice ring to it, is Spiller's Canary Yellow is the name of that butterfly. trying to see, is this Ellie going to come down to us, or has he already been down to the water and he's now moved off to have a munch, and he's just been watching us follow butterflies around? This time of the year you often find large congregations of butterflies is actually on elephant dung. They will go for the moisture of that, or even where an elephant has urinated, equally adept at gathering moisture from those places as from the edge of the water holes. So before we move on to this nice little Ellie bull, Gracie, who's 8 years old, says that emerald fly looks like it belongs in the Wizard of Oz. That definitely does, Gracie. It is such a spectacular coloration there. And Gracie also wants to know if one day we can have a bug day. Most certainly, Gracie, I will definitely be keeping my eye out for bugs for you, and we can make every day an all-animal day. So that's a young Eddie bull. We can see he's already been to the water. He's got mud all over him. So he's finished drinking, and he might go for another drink. That would be quite nice of him. He's going to make us go back around. Small it is, Brian. It's a tiny, tiny baby. Cannot be but a couple of days old. I am going to try and move to get a better view. Mom looks nice and relaxed, but that is a minute baby. Oh, he's tired. He looks like he's almost wobbly on his feet. It looks like he's going to lie down for a snooze. Let's just go forward a bit. Say when, Brian? So, really, really warm. And he's decided it's too hot for this. He's had a nice mud bath, and now he needs a snooze. Found a nice little shady spot there while Mom's eating. It's amazing how elephants just seem to appear out of nowhere. So we often get asked, how do elephants sleep? Well, if you're a very young baby, just like that. The older elephants obviously don't sleep on their sides as much. It's quite difficult for them to get up. But young elephants will often, especially in this really hot time of the year, be seen sleeping like that. Very enjoying that breeze. see his little foot move every now and then. And you can see that heavy breathing from the heat. Probably had a nice... There you go. Come, Bubba. Mom thinks it's time to go. Very young baby. So, I'm just trying to have a look. I can't see as well as you guys can from where I'm sitting, or we can't really see properly, but there's a possibility. Let me just wait a little bit, but that this elephant might not be very well. At that size, he should be quite a bit more sturdy on his feet. No, maybe he's just Bubba. Oh, it's a little boy. So I'm just trying to have a quick look there. I actually think maybe it's just very, very young, and it is quite hot today. Probably first couple of days, and it's really, really hot. So we'll come back to these two. It looks like the others are coming down to drink again, or there are elephants heading down towards the water. But I will come back to have another closer look at that little baby. I'm not going to drive off-road with a young one like that. I'd rather wait for Mom to move into a better area. But it did look like that young bull was going to go throw some mud on himself. From the other side, otherwise we're going to get very harsh light. You hold on, Brian. He's having some fun in the water. So enjoying a bit of a cool off, and you'll notice quite a lot of elephants make their way towards that bank, then quite often break off little pieces of soil to feed off, and probably high in minerals. Which mineral, not sure. Not salt, because I've tasted that bank. Isn't that all the swimming you're doing, Bodo? I was hoping he was going to go for a good frolic in the center of the dam. Oh. He's going to charge an Egyptian goose. Thought about it, and then decided, no, it's too hot to chase Egyptian geese today. Well, we're going to let him move off. He's about to disappear, and we're going to go back and have a look at that mother and with that very young calf. Saw that little guy snoozing a few moments ago, and Pamela's wondering, well, how much sleep does a baby elephant actually need? Pamela, I'm not 100% sure. They will catch little bouts of sleep while their mother is feeding, so it's not so much that it needs sleep, it just likes to rest in this hot weather. I'm sure if it was cool it wouldn't need to sleep so much. I said we're not going to put too much pressure on them. They haven't moved very far at all. And she looks like she could be quite a young mother. I'm just going to turn around, Brian, so we can sit in the shade. It is really, really hot, so I'm just going to move our vehicle around, and it looks like they're going to walk towards us. He's so tiny. So there is a possibility, it could just be the heat and that little baby's feeling very lethargic today, but there is a possibility he might not be in the best condition. And one of the reasons I'm saying that now even more than earlier is I can't really see very enlarged teats. So maybe his mom's having milk production problems, and that could be the reason that he is quite weakly. We'll have a closer look now. Normally an elephant with a calf that young, her teats will be, or her mammary glands will be quite enlarged. I mean, there is some milk in them, but they don't look nearly as enlarged as others I've seen with young babies. You can see under her legs there, you can see they're not really enlarged, so maybe she is having a milk production problem. Leslie is wondering if we came across a young baby like this out in the wild, because elephants are endangered, is this something we would interfere in or intervene in? Leslie, not. In this part of the world, elephants are by no means endangered. South Africa has a very, very healthy elephant population. Actually, a lot of the reserves have an elephant overpopulation problem, specifically the smaller reserves. And in this case, we would not intervene at all. We would stand by and let nature take its course. What normally happens is sometimes these little ones will get left behind by the herd, and other times they might die, and then the mother might stay with them for a couple of days even after they're dead. But then the lions and hyenas and other carnivores would come into play, and they would feed on that baby elephant like any other carcass. So Mom looks to be quite healthy, apart from the fact that it doesn't look like she's producing much milk. See how she's moving that dead branch away to get to the nice green grass that's been growing underneath it, protected. Yeah, unfortunately this baby is not looking well at all. And unfortunately I don't think it's just the heat. It could be he might have been born with an ailment, but I think the strongest thing is it's possibly he's not getting enough milk. And this does happen in a lot of animals, and it is nature. I know it's hard to watch and it can be very sad, but this is nature, and this is what happens out here. So there are an incredible amount of elephants around at the moment, and it's unlikely that these elephants would have been at the Djuma Dam Cam, as David from the UK said there was a very little one there as well. Well, David, was he frolicking around and playing? So it doesn't look like this little guy will be doing too much of that. He looks very, very malnourished. And often if a female does have a calf that's struggling to keep up, the rest of the herd will move on and she will try keep up, but often she will stay behind with the calf until it either recovers sufficiently to keep up with the herd or dies. So we're going to stay here and keep watching this for a little bit longer, see if we can figure out a little bit more about what's going on here. And while we do that, we're going to cross you back across to Scotty, and you can see what he's been up to.
Welcome back, everyone, and sorry to hear about the not so well baby elephant at Buffles Hook Waterhole with Brent. Maybe it's just the incredibly hot day that's taking it out of it, and as it cools down, hopefully it will start showing better signs of recovery. We have come to another waterhole, and I know Rudy in California was interested to know if Brent was in fact at Treehouse, and no, he wasn't, Rudy. VM and myself have just arrived here, and there's some beautiful lime green, very light shade of lime green colored butterflies congregating here, making for a very pretty scene. And there do seem to be quite a lot of butterflies out on this hot afternoon. You can see a few catfish swirling around in this thick soupy mud. I certainly don't envy them. And every now and then you'll just see a tail flicking from side to side. But other than that, not too much going on here, and I don't think there's enough liquid here for any mammals to come and have a drink. The only benefits it would have would be to animals that mud wallow, like buffalo and elephant and rhino. But I don't think it would be possible to drink from this muddy mess, unless of course you're a butterfly or a bird, and that seems to be working out well for them. There hasn't been a great deal going on where we've been driving, and like I said, in this incredible heat, I really do think strongly that it could be the heat that that young elephant is battling to deal with. So hopefully that's the case. You guys may have a much better idea or understanding though, because you've been with Brent watching it, whereas we haven't. Interestingly, when I drove past this tree this morning, I saw one or two village weavers jumping about in here, and you'll see a few kind of brown balls or blobs, and those are old weavers' nests from last season. And I'm hoping they're going to start their hive of activity very shortly. It's great fun watching them, although one of their prerequisites is there needs to be water below their nests. That's often what they'll do. They'll have their nest dangling above water sources, which at the moment it's not looking very promising. And I think Brent was saying the other day that the weather experts seem to think that we are in for an incredibly dry, rainy season, if that makes any sense. An incredibly unrainy, rainy season is what we are apparently about to head into. So who knows, maybe the village weavers won't nest in the same tree this year and have to go and search elsewhere. I certainly don't know who to believe though when it comes to weather forecasts, but certainly interesting information nonetheless, that some experts believe that we're going to have a dry year. I'm sure others think we're going to get a lot of rain, but only time will tell, I guess. So I think my plan for now is to head across to Arethusa, see what's going on there, and we'll leave Brent to cover Juma. Also just be nice to go across there and see how the vehicle that I'm on is handling across there in terms of signal and radio comms. There's been quite a few changes being made to the equipment over the last few weeks and days, and it's the first time that I am back in Wendy after a few days, so good to just keep testing its abilities. And the reason why testing is so important now is that we're getting geared up for some new arrivals, and Peter and Hayden are going to be coming back to join us for a short while, along with a lot of other members of the team that have been away. James has been on leave for quite a while. We're basically going to have a crew of about 25 people here in the next few days, and that's all for two very important TV broadcasts on the 13th and 14th of the month that we're all getting very excited for. So don't be surprised when you start seeing different faces taking you on drive. They're all going to be great presenters and very unique in their styles of presenting and taking you on safari. So it'll be a breath of fresh air for a lot of you, as it will for us, having some new faces and members of the crew on the ground here. I heard some cracklings over the radio, but one thing that does appear to have deteriorated in my absence is the Game Drive channel here on Juma. I just want to get a hold of Taxon and ask him exactly what they were chatting about a bit earlier. Tax, sorry about radio, Scotto. What were you guys chatting about there? Brent's with the breeding had a double look down with one poop on it, looks sick, but other than that, nothing much. Well, between my earpiece and the speaker that comes out of the radio, I'm kind of getting half the messages. Okay, copy that. Sorry about that, but it's vitally important for us to be able to communicate with guides so that we make sure not only we don't miss important updates of sightings of animals that have been found, but also that we can just help one another, work in a team, let one another know where we've searched so that they can search other places. On foot this morning. To be honest, Susie, who's asked to see if there's any footage of that, I'm not sure if Jean-Andre did manage to get the honey badger on film. If he did, it probably would have been not the best of visuals. I was playing around with another little video camera, so I was doing my own thing and he was filming behind me. And it certainly wouldn't have been captured on my little camera that I was playing with. Didn't have a zoom function, but Jean-Andre may have got some footage, but he's very, very busy, like I say, ramping up to the TV broadcast that we are getting ready for, and I don't think it's going to be high up on his list of priorities to cut together that video, Susie, so I fear that your request is going to go a-begging due to more important things that we need to try and get done. And like I say, it probably won't be the best footage ever recorded of a honey badger. very scenic oven. Well, thanks to those of you who sent through reports of I heard about 300 buffalo drinking at Arethusa at 9:30 a.m. That's quite some time ago, but hopefully they've headed deeper into Arethusa instead of back west and out of the property. The Arethusa waterhole and camp is quite far to the west of their property, quite close to their western boundary, so there is a chance that those buffalo have disappeared. But we are going to head to that large waterhole in the hope that there's going to be something heading to the nice cool waters. There's so many elephants around at the moment, which is great, so I won't be surprised if we find some ellies there. And it was incredible to see how driving through different parts of the Kruger National Park a few days ago, there was hardly any fresh sign of elephants, so they must be all congregating, not all of them, but a lot of them in these southern and western parts of the reserve. And it's wonderful that the animals in this area have the ability to free rein wherever they like, depending on where they think they're going to get their next best meal. Ecosystem with very little need for human intervention, if any, really. So we're very lucky to be a part of this true wilderness, which is 3 million hectares in size, bigger than many countries in the world. To sip out of a 5-litre water bottle, which I've just realized, but my little 1-litre one has already been finished. Liam's lost his water bottle, so he's resorted to a jar of water. Can you believe it? Which he very kindly offered me there. Not very easy to pop into the shops here. My watch is broken, my cell phone's broken. Those aren't going to get fixed for the next few weeks. Liam has lost his water bottle. It's tough times out here.
Hello everyone. Being out in the bush and being out there live has its technical challenges. We're experiencing some of that now and are working on it as fast as possible to get it sorted and get you back in the vehicle with us. Hello everyone. Being out in the bush and being out there live has its technical challenges. We're experiencing some of that now and are working on it as fast as possible to get it sorted and get you back in the vehicle with us. Hello everyone. Being out in the bush and being out there live has its technical challenges. We're experiencing some of that now and are working on it as fast as possible to get it sorted and get you back in the vehicle with us. Hello everyone. Being out in the bush and being out there live has its technical challenges. We're experiencing some of that now and are working on it as fast as possible to get it sorted and get you back in the vehicle with us. Hello everyone. Being out in the bush and being out there live has its technical challenges. We're experiencing some of that now and are working on it as fast as possible to get it sorted and get you back in the vehicle with us.
Welcome back everyone. Sorry about that, and this time we can't even blame the gremlins. Unfortunately, it is the heat, and thank goodness we're going to be changing time shortly, so the cameras are overheating at the moment, so we have to turn them off, go find a shady spot to sit in till they come back alive again. But we are here with the elephants at Buffels Hook Dam, and they've just arrived and they're having a quick drink, some of them still drinking. but we will stay here for a minute or two longer before we need to move into the shade again. So to give you an idea, if it's 36, 37 degrees, that is your shade temperature. So sitting out in the sun, we're probably sitting at about 40 to 45 degrees Celsius, easily out in the sun, which is probably, I think it's over 110 Fahrenheit. Why don't you guys let me know, how hot is 45 degrees Celsius in Fahrenheit? Okay, the eddies are moving. We're going to move out of the sun again quickly to try keep the camera alive. And there are some kudu coming down to drink as well, and some waterbuck. I'm just going to try and get to a spot where we can see them and still keep the vehicle in the shade. This is going to be our best spot here, right? Not ideal, but it'll do. Sorry about the angle, but this is the only spot where we can see the kudu coming down to drink and stay in the shade. Poor Brian is perched at quite the angle. So it seems like the trick during this hot time of the day is just to come to one of the water holes and sit and wait. We've had 2 herds of elephants, now some kudu, and there's some waterbuck on the opposite edge. Oh, isn't that beautiful? Hopefully you guys can get some nice snaps of this little kudu family group coming down for a drink. And there's some oxpeckers on their back as well. And a waterbuck bull coming in from above the kudu. So guys, just got to be on the Game Drive channel. Tax, there's a nice Shamboven love at Buffelshoek Waterhole. And there's a big waterbuck bull who's just appeared out of the bush. Well, thanks very much to Joanne in Michigan, who's let me know 45 degrees Celsius is 113 Fahrenheit. So that's what the temperature is out in the sun at the moment. And I think this is probably one of the hotter days we've ever operated in. Brian's been here longer than me. He's nodding his head profusely. He said he's never seen a heat warning on a camera before, and he filmed in the Kalahari. definitely the plan, Brian. Let's just sit here during the heat of the day. We've now got another antelope species coming down to the right of us. A little female Inyala also coming for a drink. And you can see how important these waterholes are. I mean, we've spent the majority of the afternoon very close to it. And we've now had elephant, waterbuck, kudu and Inyala all drinking. And here comes cuteness personified in the form of a baby Inyala. And how's that? We're going to be able to get 2 trafalagids in the shot. And you can see that they are from the same family. Quite nice to have them next to each other to compare. We have female kudu on the left and female Inyala on the right. And you can see how much bigger the kudu are than Inyala. Now all we need is a leopard who's been watching and waiting for this time of the day to try to catch his dinner or her dinner. The kudu are finished with their drink and moving off, but we've still got the Inyala here. Now, Curious One says she's been looking for leopard in the shade. Me too, Curious One. I've checked every bush intimately so far, and unfortunately no sign of any rosettes. So, no leopards in the shade. Brian was just double checking for us quickly. We're going to cross back across to Scotty, who's also looking at some elephants that we've just seen.
Well, welcome back, everyone. And we've just arrived at the Arathusa waterhole, as has this elephant bull. Sorry, it's certainly not a buffalo. And we're going to get to see him taking his first sips of water, which he's probably going to thoroughly enjoy. Notice how he's testing the water before slurping it up. They can be quite fussy and selective as to what they're going to drink. And maybe this is just good enough for him to swim. And come on, please have a swim. Please go on. There we go. He just sprayed himself straight in the face. And there's a strong chance he's going to continue to go deeper into this water. Awesome. What a luck. It's something I spoke about just before we took a few days leave. The chances of seeing elephants swimming in the hot summer months. And here we have it. I'm trying to frantically get my camera out, changing lenses, because this is just too good to be true. There we go, he's completely under. Look at this. Cool. Now watch how he sticks his trunk up like a little periscope to help breathing. Awesome. Isn't this too good? Can you believe it? And we've been complaining as to how hot it is, and now at least we have confirmation, at least from this big elephant, how hot exactly it is. So interesting to see if the hippo don't do anything. They don't seem to have flinched yet. There are a few hippo around nearby. Oh yes, isn't that fun? He trumpeted underwater. I'm sure you would have been able to hear that. Absolutely awesome. He can't get his head low enough down, and it looks quite bizarre how his rump is the highest part up. Oh, looks like he's found a new wig. Nice hairdo. This is absolutely awesome. Imagine having a built-in snorkel, how wonderful that would be. And that's essentially what the trunk is. No need to have goggles in this murky, muddy water. That's not going to help much. Well, I wonder how long he's going to spend in here. It's going to be interesting to see. What I'm hoping for, and you guys should also be firing away lots of screenshots. This is a beautiful sighting. And what I'm hoping for is for him to have his whole body under the water except for his trunk poking out. Let's see if he doesn't do it now. No. He is just having such a good time, and I'm beginning to actually feel a little bit jealous, to be honest. Oh, look at him glistening in the sun. Magical. Let's see if he doesn't come and give us some attitude here, which he could well. After he's feeling nice and fresh after his swim. He is heading straight towards us, so maybe we will get lucky. We'll come and toss his head in our direction. Hello, boy. You are looking exceptionally beautiful after your bath. Hello, boy. Beautiful stuff. Wasn't that too good to be true? He just walked straight past us, almost to acknowledge the time we spent watching him swim, applauding his maneuvers. And now it looks like he's smelling some scent from the dung of other elephants which have passed by here. So picking up a few messages along the way. And you'll be glad to hear I heard an update on the radio. It sounds like there is a leopard somewhere not too far from us, but there's already quite a few standbys for that position. But as this elephant heads off, there are good prospects for seeing some other animals. I'm just going to get onto the radio quickly and see if I can't get any updates as we continue along. Station controlling the ingress sighting at Broken Dam for Scots. I'm sure I just heard someone talking about an Ingwe lock somewhere. Okay, copy that, thank you. I was wrong. It is further west of where we're allowed to go that a leopard has been located. But not to worry, because there are many leopard that roam this area and we could bump into one. Just around this next corner, it wasn't too long ago that I was actually on camera with Jamie presenting, and we're just closed off a morning safari, and we were driving along the same very road and we bumped into Kwatile and Tingana, who were courting, and I think it was 2 days later we got to see them mating for quite some time, for about 3 or 4 drives in a row. And there are many leopard that roam these parts if it is your first live safari. And they can be very difficult to track down for a number of reasons. They're often moving solitary, unless they've got cubs or unless they are mating. So that makes it hard to track them down. It's much easier to track down lion who live in a pride and they leave many footprints behind wherever they go. And they're also quite shy and secretive cats, leopards, although in the Sabi Sands we get very spoilt with leopard who do not mind our presence too much.
Hello everyone. being out in the bush and being out there live has its technical challenges. We're experiencing some of that now and are working on it as fast as possible to get it sorted and get you back on the vehicle with us.
Welcome back, everyone. It seems like the heat is playing havoc with Scotty still. I just got a report of a big herd of buffalo crossing into Juma, so I'm shooting as fast as I can to that area. And fingers crossed there's some lions behind them. Just listening to the radio there quickly, getting the updates about where those buffalo are moving towards. From where they are, I'm hoping that they actually make their way down towards the Juma waterhole. There's two ways they could possibly go. They could go towards Juma, or they could go towards Buffalo's Hook. So fingers crossed they decide to go towards Juma. I think that is the closest water from where they are. Very busy at the moment. I'm just listening to the other game drives. Obviously it's important so I have a good understanding of what other animals around, not only on our traverse area but on the areas around us, to try figure a plan to find animals or try predict where animals might pop out, not only on the sunset safari but also for tomorrow's sunrise safari. There seems to be a serious lack of lions around, and Laura's would like to know, where did the lions go? Take it that Salala Pride has moved off. The Salala Pride has gone west. The Birminghams are also not far from the Salala Pride, and as last I heard, 3 Styx lionesses were seen this morning to the east, and that's about it so far. No sign of Inkahumas for quite some time now. bumps. We are trying to get to those buffalo. I'm hoping they are on their way for a drink, as I might have mentioned. But while we're moving, let's see if I've got a question for you guys. And who knows, in sort of modern times, so sort of from about the 50s, 60s, what is the largest herd of buffalo recorded in southern Africa, and where was it? So what was the largest herd of buffalo recorded in southern Africa, and where was it? You can send your answers through to questions@wildearth.tv or use the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. About 5 minutes away now. We were right on the northern side of the reserve, and these buffalo appeared in the west. We'll be able to see that dust rising from a big herd of buffalo before we get to them. And we might even start hearing those noises that a buffalo herd makes. Finished this morning's sunrise safari, Susan said they saw 300 buffalo from the Arathusa camp. Could this possibly be the same herd? That is very possible, Susan. Most definitely could be the same herd. There are about 3 large herds that are wandering around this area at the moment, but there's a very strong possibility this could be the same herd. Hello, buffaloes. To you too. Let's try and get right into the center of them. Buffalo all around. So let's drive through, see how many. This is quite a big herd. Could easily be 300 animals. They're very spread out at the moment. They're still grazing. This is the exact area where we spent time with those Nkahuma lionesses hunting buffalo. They were chasing them up and down and all around here. Oh, look at the boss on that one. I've seen this guy before. He's got the very strange boss. Just quickly on him before he moves. Oh, there we go. That guy there, he's actually got, it looks like a deformity, that his one horn and boss has grown quite a lot more than the other. I think he might have been with you when we saw him. You just hear them all around us. Brr. We're very happy we had that little bit of rain, taking advantage of all the lovely grass around, and some more about to cross the road ahead of us into the sunlight. And there's a little calf, very interesting buffalo calves, one of the few animals that are able to drink on the go. So while these big herds move, the little guys will sit between mom's back legs and drink while she's walking. There's very, very few animals that are able to do that. Most animals have to be stationary to nurse their babies, but not buffalo. And that's because they do cover such vast distances when they are in these big herds. They have a lot of food to feed 300-400 buffalo, and also quite a lot of pressure from the big cats, lions, so they do move quite frequently. So on that big buffalo herd question, we've got two answers. One from Joan that says 1 million. I don't think so, Joan. I don't even think there are 1 million buffalo in the whole of Africa. Well, there actually might be. But it would be a very, very big push. And Ton says 800 at Lower Sabi in 2008, somewhere on there. 800 is a really big herd for South Africa. But I've seen personally in this area bigger herds than 800. I've seen about 1,300 in the Manyeleti, and I've seen probably close on 900 in the Southern Sabi Sands. We have two big bulls here next to us. But the largest buffalo herd in sort of the last 50 or 60 years that I know about was from the Kwando concession in northern Botswana, and it was about 5,500 buffalo. And I don't think that a buffalo herd that size has been seen for quite some time. It's a particularly dry season. Oh, you can see who's the boss out of those two bulls, and that's the boss there.
Tony.
Incredible. Off to my right, the majority of the herd are, and they're moving, and it almost sounds like the ocean just in the distance here. So I think we're right on the periphery. You hear that, Brian? Are we picking it up on? I'm not sure if we're picking it up on the camera, but you can just hear that in the distance. And just keep quiet for a second so you can hear. Well, let's get in there and see, have another look at them. try and get into a good spot. So, be on the game drive radio for a second. One station with that summary of Nyari, and they are slowly mobile north from Rebecca's Road to the east of the Ballinati Street. You can just see we're starting to be engulfed by this layer of dust, and that means we're getting closer to the main body of the herd. We're still right on the peripheries here. It's incredible, you can just see it. You can taste it as well. So these are the stragglers we've just been going past now. Look at this dust. We're about to go straight into it now. And look at that, isn't that incredible? You can see the dust layer through the sun. It's almost like something might have spooked them. We're tracking buffalo via dust at the moment. Think we're going to catch up with them, Brian? Potentially. Oh, yeah. All we're seeing is dust at the moment. Almost wonder if suddenly a lion's made an appearance and chased it. I don't think so, but that would be really nice. Than I thought. So I'm going to try go a little bit quicker to catch up with them. Just following the dust. I'm occasionally see some stragglers. How do you lose 300 buffalo? Quite easily, apparently. Change the direction slightly, so I'm going to do the same. I'm just going to go onto the road here, and I think we're going to come out towards quarantine, so let's do that. We try to catch up with this big herd of buffalo, which tracks up. Oh, there we go. Right there. And speaking of calves, there's a nice little calf over here. Bob and I were just wondering, how do these occasionally little calves get left behind? Let me just go a bit further forward. There he is. and he's noticed that on the cams, and he says, what causes this? Well, Bob, generally mass confusion is the best and easiest answer. They either panic from being chased by lions, or just generally the confusion that comes with such a large group of animals spending time together. Baby might get separated from his mom, she might not be able to find him. And you can see all the dust I was tracking. Let's see how big this herd really is. So we were right with stragglers. I still think we're on the back side of the herd. I mean, I'd say it's 5 or 6 deep that side, probably 50 deep that side. I do love just getting into the middle of these big buffalo herds sometimes, and all you hear is just switch off and listen to the incredible sound around you. Just listen to that. Of course, there's a mass of flies that comes along with a big herd of buffalo like this. Buffalo are very important for the ecosystem. They're sort of great big lawn mowing and fertilizing machines. So being bulk grazers, they're not very particular about which grasses they eat, so they'll eat everything. They also will browse like we just saw, but also as a big herd moves through, it breaks up the soil. And they defecate a lot, so it adds nutrients into the soil, and that breaking up of the soil will help grass seeds to disperse and to grow. Hello, little man. And so really, really important sort of ecological cog in the whole ecosystem, these big herds of buffalo. So we're going to put up the volume so you guys can hear what we're hearing around us. Isn't that great? So many funny bellows and almost growls that the buffalo herd makes. I'm gonna head forward a little bit more. Let's see, there still seem to be quite a lot more buffalo up ahead. Hello, madam. What are you doing? This is a very nice big herd, 300 to 400 buffalo here. But a big herd of buffalo moving through the bush, as you heard, makes quite a lot of noise. And I have used this imagery before. Now imagine if you have children, your young child, and you're sitting at home, and it's a beastly hot day, and you're having a snooze, and the ice cream truck comes past singing that ding-a-ding-a-ding-a-ding, very irritating ice cream truck song. And obviously the child is now going to be very excited and say, "Mommy, I want an ice cream." That is basically, that sound equates to what when lions hear a big herd of buffalo. It's like the ice cream truck coming through. So hopefully the lions are listening, and their ice cream truck is calling to them from afar, and hopefully those Birmingham boys do come back. Yeah, let's try and get ahead of them. I'm sure once they get out onto that higher ground there, we might get some spectacular shots through the light, but I'm going to leave them and loop around on the road rather than crash and bash through the bush. Shoot, I know it seems like we might be going quite far away from the buffalo, but we are going to be able to move much quicker on the roads than we would be going through the bush, so that hopefully will put us in the right position to catch them coming out of the block. I don't think so. Hopefully we'll be just ahead of them. They've obviously had to go a shortcut through the block. We've gone the long way around. Should be, and let's just go here for a second in case they'll change their mind. Gonna go have a look from the top of the termite mound, see if I can figure out where they're gonna come out. Sneaky buffalo. They've changed their direction slightly. So it sounds like they're heading more west, so we're going to carry on around. Keeping us busy, these buffalo. Oh, the other end. try to get ahead of these buffalo. We're going to cross back across to Scotty, who's back online, and we're going to cross. He's looking for one of the tallest animals we get, yeah?
Welcome back, everyone, and I'm sure you've been having a good time with Brent and the buffalo. VM spotted a giraffe somewhere here, but from quite far back on the road, and that's why we're creeping along, keeping our eyes peeled here. But it appears that the giraffe has miraculously disappeared. You wouldn't have thought possible, such a tall animal. But it has evaded us. It looked like there was tracks of quite a few giraffe crossing into Djuma here. But it's thick bush, and they obviously don't want to spend any time with us. So we're going to continue in search of other animals elsewhere. Our plan was to head to the Buffelshoek waterhole, which is where Brent started off his afternoon with that wonderful elephant sighting. And who knows, maybe we'll get to see that same herd with the very weak youngster that a lot of you are concerned about, so maybe we'll have some updates on that for you. Other than that, though, not too much has been happening. We decided to leave Arathusa due to poor signal and communications with the outside world, and we are now back on Djuma with limited places to go, really. So that's why I've decided to head back towards the waterhole where Brent started. It's probably the most productive of the waterholes that still has water in them. Well, it is the only waterhole that really does have much water in it, and hopefully that water is going to provide us with some action later on. It's cooling down wonderfully now, eventually, as the start of the drive wasn't very pleasant to be out here. But thankfully that's changing. Doing the opposite, driving with a little bit of a heavy foot to try and keep cool. Very good. We have found some creatures. Plans to get to the Buffelshoek waterhole for sunset, but what can you do? The interesting thing though is that we can recognize this elephant. She's got, one on the right at least, she's got a very bizarre tusk that grows upwards like a warthog. I think she's got a little bit of a complex about it. She appears to be trying to hide it behind the foliage. So she is a female that we have seen recently in the last few weeks. And I think I remember her from last summer. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not sure if any of you guys remember seeing this very distinctive elephant cow during last summer. Because as I was saying earlier in the show, they do have the ability to move huge distances without fences determining where they can go and where they can't. And this allows them to free range hundreds of kilometers throughout the Greater Kruger National Park. This is in all likelihood one of her youngsters. It's not incredibly young, probably about 5 to 6 years old, as a guess. And who knows, maybe looking at the big cow's stomach, maybe she's about to give birth to another youngster. Notice how she's fanning her ears quite furiously, and that's to try and cool down her body temperature. Each time she flaps, if VM tries to zoom in as much as he can, you'll be able to see a network of veins and arteries, almost as thick as a garden hosepipe. And that network of arteries and veins pumps, there we go, liters and liters of blood through those massive ears every minute, helping to cool down their body temperature.
Welcome back, guys. Sorry, it seems Scotty is having quite a lot of technical difficulties. We will try to get them fixed as soon as. We've just stopped here and we're listening again. I'm going to check a little bit further down the road before we go back to the buffalo, just in case Shadow's managed to sort of sneak across the boundary, so to speak. I was really hoping it wasn't the most convincing squirrel alarm call, but I'm so desperate at the moment I couldn't help but check it out. So we're going to head a little bit further down the road and then we'll turn around and head back for the buffalo. Just a quick check down to Impala Plains and then we'll, if nothing, head straight back to those buff. Alarm calls are coming from this general area, so keep your eyes peeled, everyone. Our leopard luck's got to change at some point. we haven't spotted it. It is obviously more difficult at this time of the year with all the greenery and thickets around, but I'm sure if it's here between Brian and myself, we should spot it for sure. Birds and bird lists over the last couple of safaris, and Dean from Los Angeles is asking to find a Scops owl. Well, Dean, there's actually a little bet amongst the presenters who's going to be able to find those Scops owl that live on quarantine that we hear calling. I mean, they're so minute and so well camouflaged. It's going to be very interesting to see who manages to find the first one, and I'll definitely try a little bit later, Dean, as it gets darker. We'll head down there. And here we go. Buffalo. Right where we were sitting, Brian, when we heard that squirrel. Now, to describe the smell of a herd of buffalo, if any of you have ever spending time on a farm and they have quite big herds of cattle, that's exactly what a buffalo herd smells like. I've got a strong feeling that they're probably going to bed down in this area for the night. To the herder in that thick bush behind. They're really moving up and down. Okay, we're gonna try. You can hear the rest of them. Oh, the sun is just disappeared behind the Drakensberg Mountains. That orange sky created by all the dust around us, aided by the dust of the buffalo close to us. Sort of northwest from where we had them on Zoe's Road. Here we might find some of them on this little road here. There we go. Heading north. away from the Birmingham boys. Hello, buffaloes. Where are you going to sleep tonight? Are you going to be nice and sleep on Juma? Or are you going to be naughty and move across the Buffalo's Hook? So if the lions do follow you, they're going to follow you away from us. Hopefully they're a nice buffalo and they decide to sleep here this evening. It's always so many different characters or looking characters in a big herd of buffalo, with so many different little horn variations. There's a nice wide one. So as it's getting cooler, we're going to stick with these buffalo as they move a little bit further north from here. We're going to cross back across to Scott, who's got an exquisite view to show you.
Well, welcome to Buffalo's Hook Waterhole, everyone. Sadly, nobody's here at the moment, but that could well change. And it wasn't too long ago that VM and I were working this area in the hope of finding Karula, a female leopard, and we'd looped around probably 5 or 6 times past this waterhole, and on probably the 7th or 8th round trip, here she was lying down just in front of us drinking over here. She hasn't been seen too much since then, and even though there has been a lot of speculation and hype that she could have cubs, sadly no further evidence or clues that that is in fact the case. But that's simply because she hasn't been seen very much. So, like last time, what we did was we drove around in circles hoping she'd show up here, and she did eventually, and we're probably going to do the same thing this evening. Half of me wants to just park the vehicle and stop and listen and wait for the animals to find us, but I think most people think that is counterproductive, even though it's not necessarily. I mean, you can drive around for days here and not see anything. But the general feel is moving forward is positive, but I'm still trying to actually decide in my mind if that is in fact the case. Is it not better to just stop and listen to your surroundings and see what's going on in your immediate area rather than driving around hoping to find something literally on the road or meters off it? Because if it's not, already now that it's thickened up, you are going to battle to see it. Anyway, that's just a little debate that's going on in this small box in front of you. Brent tells me that Mvula, a large male leopard who used to be dominant in this area, and actually used to see him in and around this dam quite a lot, but sadly he's moved further east away from us. But apparently, according to Brent, he'd come back onto Juma for a brief visit, but it was only his tracks that were found. There was no sign of the animal, so we possibly bump into him here. Not only Karula, one of his old lovers, she was more recently seen mating with a more skittish male in Buffle's Hook. So maybe he is no longer going to be the father of her cubs. He was the father of her last litter, and was even seen feeding with one of his sons, who's probably 3 years old now, maybe just over 3 years old, called Quarantine. And it was after they finished feeding on a kill together that Mvula apparently headed on to Juma. But Brent was unlucky and not able to track him down while he was here.
Welcome back, everyone. As you can see, we're still with this magnificent herd of buffalo, and they're slowly mobile sort of northwest at the moment, and there's still some in the road in front of us, and we're just waiting for the last of them to cross before we try shoot around again. There they are. Smelly buffaloes. Let's see if we can get back to the main body of the herd. So while we're following this big herd of buffalo, Ollie's wondering, do they bed down for the night, or do they keep moving throughout the night? Well, Ollie, they do bed down, they're ruminants, they'll chew the cud for the night. They generally like to find a little bit more open area than we're in at the moment. Oh, there's a collared buffalo. That buffalo will be part of the Greater Kruger National Park bovine tuberculosis research project, which has been ongoing for quite a few years now. And we do come across collared buffalo cows quite often in these big herds. Nothing unusual. Anyway, let's keep going. So that research project will be run by Honest Deport, which is the veterinary department of the University of Pretoria, the veterinary section. So he's going to sneak through these buffalo. Isn't this a really gnarly old cow? I mean, it's very seldom you see a cow developing a boss, but this one, she's got sort of a boss. Very old, full of ticks, but still looking in reasonably good condition. Okay, let's keep moving around to get to the main body. Sorry, Ali. We're just going to get back to your answer there. So, being ruminants, they will generally bed down for the evening. They'll find a little bit more open area than this, and they will lie down unless disturbed by lions or anything they might take as a threat, but they do generally bed down for the night and ruminate and chew the cud, as quite often you'll notice cattle do, those who've seen quite a lot of cattle. Okay, let's speed up a little bit to get around the front of them. Nice little shortcut link next to this termite mound. There it is. It sneaks us back down to Brent's access. And now we should be on the right side of them to get some nice sky behind them. There they are up ahead on the road. Hold on. Hello, buffaloes. So unfortunately, I think the way they're moving now is they're going to head straight into Buffalo's Hook this evening still. Probably just after dark they'll cross our boundary. Mass mobile fertilizers. Brrr. Incredible amount of dust that's created around them. So you can see the ones further along there, just look at that dust. Isn't that incredible? Great shot, Brian. Listen to them move through the bush. That very distinct, almost farmyard smell. I just can't help but grab a few snaps into that dust. Hope you guys are getting some great screenshots. We're going to try to get a little bit closer to where the herd is crossing. Coming through. Let's get in amongst these buffalo. all around us at the moment. I love just sitting and it's just an incredible experience to be able to sit amongst this many buffalo. The sounds, the smells. And those ones right in the thick dust almost look like ghosts passing through. Oh, here comes another vehicle. Right, looks like one of the Juma vehicles. Gone off to drop someone off at the gate or collect something. Oh, we now got buffalo passing in front and behind of us. Spectacular. Isn't it amazing to know that still massive herds of wild animals exist out there in this modern world we live in? Oh, big sneeze behind us. It's like they never end. It's often a thing I used to do with my guests on safari. If we did come across a big herd of buffalo, it's such a special thing to just sit quietly while you're completely engulfed by these animals. And now another one of Africa's musicians adding their voice to the twilight. Those are the hyena at the hyena den. We're not far from the hyena den. We're now right at the edge of this buffalo herd, the last few crossing the road in front of us. It's a bit late. It's already too dark to go into the hyena den itself, but it might be worthwhile seeing if any of those adults come out of the den on the road that runs parallel to where the den is once these last buffalo cross. Yes, I feel sorry for anyone who's allergic to dust at the moment, as we are literally engulfed with dust. There's a nice big old boy about to cross. Okay, let's carry on a little bit and get up to the next road. So while we move through this dust, you can actually feel it on our teeth, on our eyelashes. We're going to cross back to Scotty, who's got a magnificent view for you.
Welcome back, everyone. And what a beautiful evening it is here. I'm not exactly sure where Brent is, but it sounds like he's also in quite a pretty spot, enjoying a great sighting as the late afternoon sun picks up the clouds of dust left by the buffalo. We've just been sitting patiently here listening for lack of better ideas, and it was something I discussed earlier with you. Although we've lost signal so many times this afternoon, I've lost track of what you actually have heard me say and what you haven't. But we stopped for a moment of silence, didn't share anything, although as we stopped the vehicle there was some squirrels alarm calling, and VM and I both got excited as to the prospects of finding a predator, but it didn't take long for us to spot an African hawk eagle perched in a tree next to us, and that is what the squirrels were shouting at. Nesting on the property, and that's probably why we get to see them so often. They're wonderful birds of prey, and one day we are going to see them pluck something out of the air. I've never seen it in all my time African hawk eagles hunting, but hopefully that will happen soon. While I was away over the last few days, we saw a martial eagle plummeting out of the sky, and it caught a one thing that we seldomly get to see, or anyone really. There's even very few documentaries on raptors hunting, but if we spend long enough out here, we will get lucky eventually. Search for the Scops owl. Brent's also in the loop, so it's a quest to see who can find a small African Scops owl, which make a very distinctive call with a 4-second gap and then another. They've been very vocal, even from before it's been getting dark over the last few weeks, so let's see if we can't find you one. I'm guessing Brent's going to go and search for the one at Quarantine, because I think that's the general area he was in. So what we'll do is we'll stop just up ahead on this little crest and see if we can hear one nearby to us and try and get close closer to it by pinpointing exactly where its call is coming from. And while I do that, we can just have a quick look around, and I'm going to check in my book to see if I can find you a picture of the owls that we are looking for, just so that everyone's in the loop, not only Gene in LA but all the other viewers. It takes a little bit of manipulating getting people who are not interested in ornithology to buy into the concept, so this is an example of how we are trying to incorporate you into the birding world. Okay, so I've got the book out. They're not the best images, but there's actually two scops owls. We use their name quite loosely, and this is the one that you do get here, but it's not the one we hear nearly as much. Now, the scops owl. According to the book, its call is a series of bubbling notes. That's what the book says. But the African scops owl is who we are hoping to find you. And it looks a little bit different. It lacks that big white face. And that's the one that makes the... Well, the call we've just heard behind us. And another one now is the African, sorry, the fiery-necked nightjar. They're calling all around us, maybe 4 or 5 of them in different areas. Another wonderful sound of this time of the year. But no, and we'll find some of them vocalizing up ahead. Failing that, we may even just get lucky and put the spotlight directly onto one. Or another interesting nocturnal being. I would almost certainly be nocturnal if I was an animal that lived here in summer. I'm thinking of even quitting my day job and getting a nocturnal job to avoid the heat. It really isn't pleasant. But the bush is going to come alive now. A lot of insects, a lot of smaller animals, birds that we don't see during the day. They're going to start going out their business. One of which we are searching for desperately, as Jean wants to, I guess, add it to her bird list. Could be first prize though, and if I could choose a species, I'd probably go with the puff adder. Incredibly pretty coloration on their skin. Very cryptically camouflaged. Quite easy to stand on. Combination of their camouflage as well as their sluggish behavior makes them an easy candidate for. We'll move out of the way. Now, I've once again been told to hold off talking. Well, welcome back. I think you're now back with me. You did not miss anything. James in Kansas City would like to find a Mozambican spitting cobra, or at least where to find one. And that would be another nice snake to actually see, James. So maybe I'll cancel Puffer and change mine to Mozambican cobra as well. Push that living through, James. But interestingly enough, we quite commonly see them around infrastructure, i.e. lodges and buildings and rooms, and it was certainly the most frequently caught snake at a lodge where I worked for 3.5 years, not far from here in the south of the Sabi Sands. We haven't had any sightings of them here in the camp, but one or two out in the bush. Saw a tiny one last summer. It was so cool. It was probably only like 15 centimeters long. But no, I haven't seen many this summer, and they could pop out anywhere, but infrastructure would be a good place to find them in. What you tend to be led into a false representation of how many snakes are actually around is thanks to a lot of snake wranglers swinging from vines, landing on snakes around every corner they go. Those snakes, I am 99% certain, have taken out of a cold bucket and placed there where they can sluggishly wait for their wrangler to descend upon them. Whereas when you are actually out in the bush, it's not that easy to see them, and we don't see them very often in all the wilderness areas I've worked. They tend to avoid us and are not easy to come across, which will be a relief for a lot of you. It actually disappoints me and saddens me that we don't see more snakes. But it's not as easy as going and looking for them like it may have been portrayed on certain documentaries or TV programs you guys may have watched in the past. Trust me, we look for them permanently and do not find them.
Welcome back, everyone. Something has spooked these buffalo. We've just been sitting out quietly with them, and they've all of a sudden stampeded. And the last of them are here. I'm not sure what it is. They were walking straight towards the hyena den, and it's possible they just got a really big fright from the hyenas. pop my... Oh, the last one just disappeared. I'm going to go, just for interest's sake, I cannot help myself. I have to go around to see. Who knows? Maybe there's a lion. But I don't think so. I think they just got spooked possibly by the hyenas, or someone put a horn in the wrong place and someone went "Bleh," and everyone got, oh no, there's a lion, and it's not conducive to a long life. One of my dad's favorite little sayings is, the world is full of normal people. There's enough of them. I think that I'm going this way and then they ran. Yeah, let's shoot. I think they actually might come out on sandy patch. They were heading towards the Buffelshoek boundary, but I think whatever spooked them changed their direction a little bit more westward. I half expect to see a very proud looking hyena standing on the road shortly. Get the spotlight out. There's the entrance to the hyena den. So maybe it wasn't the hyenas. More than likely someone just put a horn in someone else's buttock and it elicited a bit of a reaction. So thanks very much for joining us on the Sunset Safari. We do apologize for the technical difficulties. I know we had quite a lot of them today, and hopefully tomorrow it'll be better. And well, we had a first one, first one for Brian, who's been a cameraman for WildEarth for quite some time, a camera overheating, and yeah, it was about in the sun, 113 degrees Fahrenheit, 45 degrees Celsius. So a real scorcher of a day. From Scott and Vim on the other vehicle, I'm going to say goodnight for them, and from Brian and myself and everyone here at WildEarth and in Final Control, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day, and don't forget to join us for the Sunrise Safari.